Hello, I hope you're okay. Previously, we started looking at indirect speech, which is also called reported speech. So we continue looking at the same topic. Today, by the end of this lesson, you need to be able to change direct speech in question form into indirect speech, and also change direct speech, which is in command form, into indirect speech. The other thing that you need to do is to change the direct speech in a request form into indirect speech. Last but not the least, the thing that you need to do is to change direct speech, which is in exclamations or wishes, or in wish form, into direct speech. Now let us look at how to change the direct speech, which is in questions, or questions that are in direct speech. Now, we need to know that in reporting questions, the direct speech is introduced by some verbs such as asked, inquired, etc., etc. The other thing that we need to take note is that when the question is not introduced by an interrogative word, the reporting verb is followed by whether or if. For example, in direct speech, if we have a sentence, he said to me, "What are you doing?" So we can change this sentence into indirect speech by saying, he asked me what I was doing. We have introduced the word asked to show that this is a question. Another example, indirect. The police should be direct. The policeman asked, "Where are you going?" So under indirect, so you can say, the policeman inquired where I was going. Then under direct speech, another example is, she said, "Will you listen to such a man?" Now, under indirect, we can change this sentence and say, she asked them whether they would listen to such a man. Or you can say, she asked them whether they would, or you can say, would they, she asked, listen to such a man? So that is another way that you can change the direct speech, which is in question form, into reported speech. Let us look at how to change commands and the requests. Now, we need to know that in reporting commands and requests, the indirect speech is introduced by some verb expressing command or request, and the imperative mood is changed into the infinitive. Let us look at the examples. Number one, directs. "Call the first witness," said the judge. So this is a command. So we'll say, the judge commanded to call the first witness. Example two, under directs, he shouted, "Let me go." By the way, here, because he shouted, we need to before we enclose the inverted commas, we need to put an exclamation mark instead of a full stop. So it should be, he shouted, "Let me go." So under indirect speech, you say, he shouted to them to let him go. He shouted to them to let him go. That's the correct answer. Example 3, he said, "Be quiet and listen to my words." He said, "Be quiet and listen to my words." Under indirect, we say, He urged them to be quiet and listen to his words. He urged them to be quiet and listen to his words. Another example in which we can introduce the words that are showing commands, which should be the fifth example. Warrior said to Banda, go away. So we can say, Warrior ordered Banda to go away. Another example, he said to him, please wait here till I return. So under indirect speech, the same sentence will say, he requested him to wait there till he returned. Okay, let us now look at exclamations and wishes. Exclamations and wishes. So we need to take note of this, that in reporting exclamations and wishes, the indirect speech is introduced by some verb expressing exclamation or wish. Let us look at the examples. Number one, he said, alas, I am undone. So, under indirect, we say, he exclaimed sadly that he was undone. The other one is, under the second example is direct speech. Alice said, how clever I am. So you say, under indirect, Alice exclaimed that she was very clever. Let us look at the two sets of examples, last two sets of examples. Under direct speech, he said, bravo, you have done well. So we can say, under indirect speech, he applauded him, saying that he had done well. The last example we have is, so help me, heaven, he cried, I will never steal again. Under indirect speech, we can report this by saying he called upon heaven to witness his resolve never to steal again. Thank you so much. May God bless you. Make sure that you do the exercise that I'm going to send.